There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers, a dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends, a place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view, but when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Good evening, everybody, and oh, sure, I don't sound like Dave. In fact, I don't even sound like myself tonight with a little bit of the cold I have. I'm Tim Dennis. Dave will be here shortly. He's actually just leaving Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport, and he'll be joining us shortly. We have a great show tonight, both hours. Our first hour, we're going to talk to the crew from Paranormal State. And if you haven't heard of Paranormal State, by gosh, I don't know what you've been doing with yourself for the last couple of weeks. It's been everywhere. If you've tuned into A&E, which is the cable channel that Paranormal State is on, you've seen ads for it. You've seen little mini clips of the show, little sneak peeks into the show. If you went and checked your MySpace today, you've probably seen banner ads for Paranormal State. Ads everywhere. This thing is going to be huge. We've got the cast of Paranormal State in the first hour with us. Also, in the second hour, Bill Murphy will be joining us. We'll be talking about Frank's Box, which is a communication device to connect with the other side. We'll also be talking about some of the alternative devices that are out there. And what exactly they do and why there's some controversy surrounding some of those devices as well. A couple of reminders for you before we get started with the program tonight. We still do have tickets available for our trip in January to right here in good old Minnesota, you know. We'll be having lutefisk and tater tot hot dish, and we'll be checking out the Palmer House Haunted Hotel. It'll be fun. With us is Chris Fleming, Patrick Burns. We'll have the author of House and Spirits and Whispers, Annie Wilder. The editor and writer of Fate magazine, Phyllis Galdi. Myself and Dave will be there as well. I don't know that's a draw for you, but, you know, we'll be there. Psychic reader Tiffany Johnson. And if you met Scotty Roberts at the Stanley Hotel, our tarot consultant, by gosh, you'll want to get a reading from either him or Tiff. It's going to be a good time. Tickets are going quick. They're especially going quick since we were at the Queen Mary this past week. And people who got a little taste of the Darkness Radio Taps events are buying tickets quick as we speak. Go to www.darknessevents.com and get on board with that. And with that, why don't we join our first guest for the hour? On the line right now with us is Ryan Buell and Sergi from Paranormal State. Hey, guys.
Yo, Tim. How you doing?
Hey, Tim. How you doing?
Not too bad. A little under the weather. We were at the Queen Mary this past week, and but we had a fun time.
Some hardcore partying, huh?
Yeah, I was told by Chad Kale, don't touch the handrails at the Queen Mary. So I actually went along and licked a lot of them just to see what would happen.
That sounds like me on a drunken Penn State night.
Exactly. There you go.
You know, this is probably, I've known of you guys for like 2 years. This is probably the longest I've ever talked to you already. We just started.
I know. Isn't that crazy? Well, there's a reason I'm behind the scenes, Ryan. No, I'm kidding. I find this whole Paranormal State marketing campaign fascinating. This is huge.
It is. It's, in fact, there's articles in press just on the marketing alone, which is kind of weird. There's an article in the New York Times today about two things that the A&E marketing people have done that's never been done before in the States. One is in L.A. They have a billboard that is 3D animatronic. The face will pop out of the billboard and look at you, and then it'll go back into the billboard. Kind of like Freddy Krueger, Nightmare Before Elm Street.
Wow.
When the Freddy Krueger kind of comes through the walls. And then the other one is that there's a billboard in New York City that's causing like a lot of commotion because it's some sort of hypersonic technology where people are walking by this billboard and people hear voices that sound like it's coming from inside their head, like it's not your imagination or something else. And what it is it beams directly and it kind of bounces, whatever it bounces off of, it sounds like it's coming from. So it sounds like it's coming like either you have headphones on or it's coming from inside your head. And it's definitely caused a stir. It's pretty cool.
That's absolutely wild.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to, to be associated with the show that's doing that, but, it's just promotional stuff.
I hear you. Now, before we get into the whole Paranormal State thing and what exactly it's about, let's get a little background on your crew. First of all, I got to tell people real quick, kind of a cross-promotional thing. If you go to www.anetv.com, check out Paranormal State there. They have a whole website devoted to not only clips from the show, but introduce every one of your team members. And there are clips of each individual team member from the show. And you really, I mean, I went to it this afternoon. I went to it a little bit on Saturday and just kind of perused around. You really get to know your team just from the website alone.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad they do that. I think they're trying to show people we're real people. You know, we're not assembled for the show. We're not, you know, there's nothing fake about us. You know, and you kind of get to know about us before you kind of delve into our adventures, into the unknown.
And what many people don't even know yet is that if you go to aneinsider.com, you can make another account and access these other videos. They even have a video that they did on Xander, which is Ryan's dog.
Really?
So we have an official PRS dog, kind of like...
He's like our Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Aw. That's always good to have one of those. What do you have to feed him? Anything special, or is it Xander snacks?
He loves cheese.
Ooh.
But you know, after like an hour or so, you start to regret that you gave him cheese.
I was going to say, that could kind of affect your investigation there, couldn't it?
So, no, you know, we've only taken him on like one or two just to babysit. But yeah, he's a fun guy.
Well, let's get into the beginnings of the group here, and I know we've gone over it in past shows about how everything started, but let's recap for everybody. Ryan, give us the background of the Penn State PRS, or PRS as it's just referred to on the show.
Right. Well, just briefly, I had a paranormal experience when I was young, and especially growing up down south, it was very taboo to talk about, and it was they pushed really for me to just forget about it, ignore it, it'll go away. But as I grew up, you know, it's not something you can really forget, especially when it wasn't your happy Casper kind of a haunting. And when I got to Penn State, when I was 19, you know, they boast that Penn State's one of the largest universities in the country. It's got over 600 organizations, all these different departments. I thought, okay, they got to have something here for, you know, paranormal research in general. And to my surprise, there was nothing. And so I was at a crossroads. It was, do I sit around and wait for this university or someone in it to create something, or do I create it? And so I took that route of creating it, and it's been a long process because, you know, as you can see with the show, we're not a club. We treat what we do very seriously. We're not just here to do research. Our main goal is helping people understand what they're going through, whether it's paranormal or not. And what I found over the past 6 years of doing PRS is that there are very real people out there. People who have paranormal experiences can't be categorized into one column. I mean, you've got people from different ethnic backgrounds, different ages, different economic backgrounds, things like that, all having experiences. And they've turned to traditional science and psychology for explanations, and they found none, and that's why they turned to us.
How do you get a major university like Penn State to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, we'll affiliate ourselves with you. Why not?
They don't really. Well, they don't. You know, they can't. It's really hard for them to discriminate against this sort of thing nowadays. I mean, the way they can discriminate, you know, against us might be through something else if they think that we're dangerous or we're harmful to our members, or if we've hazed our members, things like that. So really, they can't turn it down. I mean, there's some really ridiculous organizations at Penn State. And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense, just some really weird, crazy organizations. But we did get denied at first, which, you know, their excuse was they didn't understand what we were trying to do, and they couldn't categorize us. They didn't know where to put us, you know, because when you do a group or organization, you have to be placed in certain categories, and they had no idea where we fit into it all. So I just remember having the hearing and a bunch of just vacant expressions like, you know, what do they want to do? You know, nowadays I've kind of paved that way. It's a lot more understandable, and you know, now I'm hearing about other people at other universities who are trying to develop something at their school.
And Ryan, if I remember correctly, I remember you telling me at least when I first joined PRS that you had to go into the environmental
health
agency.
And safety.
Yeah, health and safety agency. I mean.
Yeah, when I mentioned something in passing, Tim, about how, I don't know, I was really dumb, and I was like, well, you know, they asked, like, you're going into people's homes, aren't you? Could something bad happen? I said, well, if someone becomes demonically possessed, there have been horror stories of people being thrown out the windows and blah, blah, blah. And that just kind of freaked them out. So they required me to go to environmental health and safety to make sure that we weren't at risk or that we weren't harmful. And I remember going there, and the people looked at me like, why are you here? Because of demonic possession? How do we verify that you're going to be safe for that? So they just signed off on it. So
sounds very interesting. Now, let me ask you this. Does Penn State have anything paranormal in their curriculum or in their lineup of classes, or do you have a professor there at Penn State who kind of backs the group?
We have a few. When we first started out, it was all undergrad, and then there were some people from residential people, and then especially in the past 2 years, we've gotten a lot of interest from staff and faculty, psychologists, counselors, neuroscientists, engineers, chemists. What's the other big one? The one that I just can't explain. Physics. Whatever that, like that stuff is just like mind-boggling in my opinion. But all those different branches, they've been coming in and they're really fascinated. And what I find curious is that 5-6 years ago, it was hard just to get students interested. But now, and it's not because of the TV show, because this is before the TV show. There's a lot of interest, even in the academic part of Penn State.
And as far as classes go, doesn't Penn State offer a couple of occult classes or mythology?
Yeah, they offer a couple that I hear about that touch a little bit on paranormal. But Penn State's actually a very conservative university. But the funny thing is that ever since the show is kind of starting to come in the limelight, there's definitely some interest within the university about starting something. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and we're going to talk about it next semester.
And then let me ask you this too, Ryan. Now what do you attribute the success to the group? People wanting to look into the group and be a part of the group. Do you attribute it to TV directly? Do you attribute it to movies, or is it just a natural curiosity you feel students may have about the afterlife, and as they're kind of growing themselves and getting used to things on campus and kind of exploring new chapters in their life, that's a natural extension?
I think it kind of falls into three things, which all kind of tie in together. One, pop culture. You see a lot about paranormal in pop culture these days. I think it really started in like 99 with The Sixth Sense, and then in 2000 the re-release of The Exorcist, Signs, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, Mothman Prophecies became a movie. Then you have Ghost Hunters, Medium, Ghost Whisperer. I mean, it's just kind of exploded, really. And what is it? Lifetime and we have a whole day, primetime slot devoted to paranormal stuff, and we're now one of the big shows coming out about it, and I think that has kind of came about. But those shows, they only come into fruition because there's an active interest in that. And one person told me an interesting theory. It was some professor. I remember listening to a lecture, and he said, there's a lot more concentration and discussion on death nowadays post 9/11. Because we're not the happy-go-lucky society that we were like in the 90s. There's every time you pick up a newspaper, there's death toll in Iraq, death toll here, and there's this constant fear of terror attacks and nuclear bombs, bomb threats from Iran and then China, that people are worried about. So there's just so much going on in the world right now that there's almost like an hysteria, if you will, and people are thinking a little bit more about death and naturally the afterlife and their spirituality. That's definitely something that I've kind of noticed, and other people will pick up on that.
Hey Ryan, this is Dave back with you.
Yo, Dave.
How you guys doing?
Hi, Dave. How are you?
Good. Hey, listening to the questions and everything, I'm curious too if you find with the psychics that you've used, mediums, religion, the different people in this field. Are they telling you as well? I mean, we hear it, Tim and I, at all these events, there's a huge shift coming. There seems to be some kind of wave that just is opening up for spirituality, for religion, for exploration. Do you find with the people that are coming to you from all walks of life, everybody from occult specialists to the scientists to the, religious leaders, are you finding that you're seeing that there's kind of an awakening going on as well?
Yeah, ever since I got into this really heavily, especially with some of the demonic stuff, I've kind of talked to people about that, and anywhere from priests to, the psychics that I've brought on, and other specialists, and even just my clients. There's something very real going on right now. We're kind of in a chaotic time where people are searching for something new, and I think that we're changing the way we view things in life. I think that our spirituality is changing, and I think that's attributed to many things. With science and with the times. Religion, Catholicism, especially in Christianity, has changed over time.
Are you getting
the period
at a college? I mean, you get kids from all over the world that come there. Do you show our kids from other backgrounds, other foreign backgrounds and religions, showing an interest in this as well?
Yeah, they are. Not as much as I'd like. They have different viewpoints on it than I think we do, and maybe it's just a communication barrier. But we do have a few people. From India, from Japan, even some from the Caribbean, even who, and they all come from different cultures, so they have a different viewpoint on how they view the paranormal. Some of them are very afraid to touch the subject. Like some people just straight up will not have anything to do with us because of their religious viewpoints.
What are you finding, in the group? What do you find with these people that come to you from foreign cultures and religions? Are there I know there's differences in cultural breakdowns in language, but are you finding that there is also a connection, like an unspoken deal that seems to be taking place in all these other religions as well, and ethnicities, that there seems to be a certain way that they handle this spirituality or the ghost hunting whole side of things that's going on in their cultures as well?
Honestly, I think, and Sergey's a great person to talk to about this, because I think it's all about soul searching. And, Sergey, for example, he's Russian, and he was a complete atheist, but yet he joined PRS because, he had his own questions, right, Serge?
Right. I mean, I grew up with an older friend, and I looked up to that older friend because, he was 1 year older than me, and at that time I thought that was like the most amazing thing ever. And he was an atheist his entire life.
Okay.
And he downplayed religion and everything, and so I guess I kind of followed that, not thinking really much about it, and my parents didn't really put any pressure on me about following religion or going to synagogues or churches or anything like that. And when I got to college, I began to explore sort of different informations and different kind of aspects of religion. I started watching shows about ghosts, and that whole sort of phenomena intrigued me, and I thought that, well, maybe if I see a ghost, if I see a spirit, that would mean God exists. That would be kind of like the proof for God existence. So when I joined Paranormal Research...
I was going to say, are you finding that we're having more, an effect? I mean, you're dealing with demonic problems, you're dealing with all these spirituality deals. Has your look and outlook on religion and life changed as well, Sergey, then? I mean, are you feeling that it's there's something out there now?
Well, I definitely feel like there's something out there, but with that, it came more confusion because, I experienced something paranormal, and I didn't know how to explain it scientifically. So suddenly, I was starting to question my, was it all in my head? Was I just, making stuff up in my head and just thinking that happened to me? Or is there really something out there? But just a whole bunch of strange coincidental events began to happen. And, you read about this kind of stuff where, there's synchronicity and, coincidences don't have to be just coincidence. They could be explained by faith, or there's some sort of plan. And I'm not saying that, there's God out there or anything yet. I really don't know. All I know is that my eyes have certainly opened up to a different sort of world, and I no longer kind of think that there's nothing out there and that after we die, there's just death. I definitely think that there's something out there. I just don't know what, and that's kind of what I'm still exploring.
Well, does that now, when you're called in on these cases, Sergey, that have had demonic connotations to them, what is that? I mean, are you accepting? Yeah, are you accepting it as demonic, or are you just accepting it as a malevolent, pissed off spirit? What's your take on that now?
I'm pretty much going in there as a tech guy, and pretty much I'm letting Ryan take care of that. And the way I look at it is, as long as I'm with my friends and people who love me and I love them back, I know I'll be protected and I'll be safe. So I'm not there going in and, I'm not going to start taunting the demonic and going, well,
no,
show yourself.
But I guess I'm not asking about that end of it, but I mean, you're referring to it as a demonic. If there's a demon, wouldn't that then beg the fact that then there is angelic and there's a heavenly host? I mean, that's all I'm asking for. I'm not trying to put you on the spot with religion, but I'm just wondering how an atheist is affected by investigating the paranormal. Are you yourself allowing yourself to believe, well, then there is a demonic, there is this evil, or are you dismissing it as more of just an angry spirit?
I think we all have different labels, but they all have the same meanings, and I tend to look at it as either a negative energy or a positive energy, and to me that's all kind of the same. So when Ryan refers to something as demonic, I tend to look at it as a negative energy, and that could mean either a malevolent ghost or something that we don't know that's out there,
Okay, that's good. Yeah, and like I said, I wasn't trying to push you on the subject of religion. I just was curious how that plays in.
That's definitely interesting stuff.
Do you see, Ryan, with other people that have come to the group that have different religious backgrounds, and they see you, or the priest or religious leader that you're working with evoke the name of Jesus Christ to do that? Does it have an effect on them coming from backgrounds where maybe their belief is in Buddha or in Ronald Reagan or whatever, whoever they want to believe
Ronald
in.
Reagan.
Well, it's the whole thing. People have different belief systems, but have you seen profound changes in people that maybe didn't have a faith or belief in the Christianity form of religion?
You mean clients or investigators?
Both.
Well, first of all, when we deal with clients, we always work with their religious background.
Mm-hmm.
So we would never bring a Catholic priest into, like, say, a Buddhist faith. So we always work within their boundaries because, there's a cultural and religious element when we deal with these hauntings.
Right.
But with my investigators, for example, Elfie is a pagan. She definitely has a different viewpoint on the demonic. She definitely believes in negative beings. And we have people who, we have one investigator who just doesn't really think there really is any bad out there. And I have to sit there and say, well, you believe in bad people, right? Well, yeah. Well, then I think that, if you believe in ghosts, ghosts are people, so they're good and they're bad. So with my investigators, they always respect what field we go into. We don't push our beliefs on the client. So if we go into a Christian home and we've got a Buddhist investigator with us, we respect the client's religious beliefs. We would never have the Buddhist person say, okay. But but going into demonic cases, Dave, these people have kind of questioned their take on things because they have seen, they have kind of seen hints of the personification of evil, and it has kind of, it has changed their outlook. It's kind of made them question things.
Well, that's what I would wonder. Now, I got to guess some of these people that are dealing with demonics that maybe don't have a religious upbringing, or they're Jewish or Buddhist or whatever. If things are not going well, have they ever said, just resort to Christianity, resort to whatever, just get it done and get it the hell out of here?
I've heard of cases of that, yeah. But I've also worked with priests exorcists, who in the Catholic faith, because I'm Catholic, who have cooperated with other religions and, Buddhist monks and rabbis, and have assisted in that rite. Now, granted, in the Christian rite, it's all about invoking the name of Jesus.
Right.
And I've never witnessed a Jewish exorcism, so to speak. But I have worked on cases that I have referred them to, Jewish exorcists or something like that, but I was never there to witness that.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. You're listening to the Darkness on the Edge of Town Paranormal Radio Show. Our guests right now, the cast of Paranormal State. Stay with us. We're going to be back with more right after this.
It will keep you on the edge of your seat.
I must have drank me about 15 Dr. Peppers.
I gotta pay.
Just don't get any on the floor. Hurry back. There is more to come from the Darkness on the Edge of Town.
For 58 years, Fate has consistently supplied its loyal readership with a broad array of true reports of the strange and unknown. Fate is a factual magazine containing articles by experts in all walks of life, and by others just like you who have something dynamic, significant, and truthful to say. Keep up with the latest on angels and miracles, psychic phenomena, ghosts, UFOs, archaeological hotspots, alternative science, and much, much more. To receive your free Fate magazine, call now at 1-800-728-2730 or visit our website at www.fatemag.com. That's 1-800-728-2730. or www.fatemag.com. What are you waiting for? Your fate awaits.
Are you tired of reading about what couple in Hollywood is breaking up or divorcing? Have you ever wondered where you can find the news that covers the subjects that you are really interested in? I would like to invite you to visit supernaturalnews.com. Supernatural News uses the latest internet technology to search for the topics we know you will be interested in reading. News of the latest Bigfoot, UFO, or Loch Ness Monster sightings. Read about the latest conspiracy theories and urban legends. Supernatural News, where belief and reality merge.
Looks good at Hr.1. Roger.
Okay, each of you youngins take a gun, a beer, and some smoke.
Throttle circuit breakers in. We have separation. Inboard and outboard are on. We're coming forward with the side stick. Oh, looks good. Roger. I've got a blowout today for 3. Get your pitch to 0. Pitch is out. I can't hold altitude. Correction. Alpha hold is on. Trip selectors emergency. Flight column. I can't hold it. She's breaking up. She's breaking.
Dave.
You bastard!
Dave Schrader, paranormal host.
A man barely alive. Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. We have the capability to make the world's first bionic
Paranormal host. Dave Schrader
will be that man. Better than he was before.
What is it that makes you set...
Better, stronger, faster.
Run, Forrest, run! Run, Forrest!
Welcome back to the darkness on the edge of town with Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis.
Hey, welcome back to the show. You're listening to Darkness on the Edge of Town Paranormal Radio Show. We appreciate you being here with us every Sunday night from 10 to midnight Central Time. Tell your friends about us. If you can't listen live, remember, we archive all of our shows. You can go to our website at darknessradio.com, click on the listen button, and you can listen to the last... Oh, that's okay, Ryan. People can download the show there.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. What are you doing to me? We've got on the line with us the cast of a brand new paranormal show called Paranormal State that's going to be on starting tomorrow.
Tomorrow at 10.
A&E, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Is that right?
That's correct.
So it'll be 9 o'clock Central Time. That's 8 o'clock Pacific. 7 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Mountain Time. Or check your local listings at ane.com. And get the information there. And I think you can also go to paranormalstate.com for all the updates. So this is pretty exciting, Ryan. I met you almost 3 years ago now.
Yep.
Saw this whole thing starting to develop, all the exciting stuff going on in the field with you guys, and knowing that this show is launching. And you've got about how many in the can now? Have you filmed?
We did an initial order of 13 episodes, but then the network was just so pleased with it, they ordered more, so now we have 20.
Oh, wow. 20 pieces altogether. 20 different episodes? Great. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, we've talked to you and Serge. We've got you've got Elfie and Katrina and Heather with you as well, correct?
Yep.
Who else do you have on the line with us right now?
Hi, Dave.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Is this
this is Katrina.
The effervescent Katrina?
Yes. How are you guys?
I'm doing great. Thanks a lot for joining us here.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me.
So, Katrina, were you interested in the paranormal before you heard that there was going to be a TV show at Penn State?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I grew up in a house with activity, and my mom's side of the family is very, very open-minded to it. So it was always, in my house, it was always okay to explore that. And then my brother passed away in 97, and there was a lot that surrounded that made me more interested. And then when I got to Penn State, I actually joined the club in 2004. But there was a lot that happened in my personal life, and I had to take a break from it. So then it came back in 2006. So it's always been a part of my life, though. Yeah, definitely.
So now you're part of this. We had the opportunity to watch one of the episodes.
Yes.
At UNIFCON, and excuse me, it was the thing that struck me and impressed me most about this show, Ryan, too, was the fact that when things started to get a little hot and heated. With the dark side that was kind of coming through. Next scene, you've got Heather and Katrina back at the hotel.
In bed.
Wow, wait a minute. So, Ryan, that's how your paranormal investigations go, huh? Things get crazy, and all of a sudden
it's fun here in PRS.
Paranormal porn suddenly, I guess. No, but you've got the girls back at the hotel in the safe mode, in a safe place, so that they're not dealing while you're back at the hotel. Let me make sure that we say that again. While you and Sergi were back at the investigation with Elfie, you had the two newer members safe and far enough away from the malevolent thing that was popping up here, because it's pretty. I don't want to give anything away. It's pretty profound what was going on in that episode and what popped up, and it was a surprise to you and a surprise to a few other people there. So that you took the responsibility to remove these newer members from something that could be a potentially really bad thing. That was very impressive. Now, Katrina, how did you feel when he tapped you and said, "Listen, you got to go back"?
Well, it's funny because when we realized that what was going on, Heather and I were just like, like, because he had told us before if things ever got out of hand, he would take care of us and he would make the best decision at that time. And during that episode, Heather and I hadn't even begun that part of our training class. So at that time, they all felt it was the best thing to take us home. And, we were a little taken back from it just because we didn't know what was going on at the time. But, we were also very grateful that we work with people that
had your back, right?
Definitely had our back. And it's funny because people always ask me, like, what's the scariest moment you've ever had? And it's really weird because I haven't, just because I know that the four other people on the show completely have my back and that they would never let anything bad happen. So, there's a lot of trust that goes on between us.
Now, did you, when they're telling you, hey, you got to go, do you get this twist in your stomach of, holy crap, I'm worried about the rest of my team, or what's your thoughts on this? It's not totally new to you, but it's having that kind of darker side show up. Did that throw you for a loop? Were you concerned then for the team, or did you feel that, and you don't have to kiss the boss's butt too hard there and say that you knew Ryan could tear open his shirt and Indiana Jones the demon into a fiery cradle of hell or something. Where were your thought processes on that?
It wasn't so much being taken back by it, but I remember Heather and I definitely stayed up for a really long time that night talking about all the possibilities that could be going on. We were definitely scared for them because, these aren't only people that we work with, but these are our close friends.
Right.
And, obviously we want to have their back as much as they have ours. So we stayed up for a good long time that night talking about it and hoping that they were okay and hoping that the family was okay.
Meanwhile, you were doing your hair and having pillow fights with the webcam on.
We were having pillow fights, Dave. I don't know how you know this. Sixth Sense, huh?
Oh, yeah, that's it. Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
I'll be selling
Dave
videos
has his own
online.
cam.
That's right.
On the show. We gave exclusive rights.
The Darkness
cam.
Radio cam. When you're... Now, how many episodes were you able to take part in then, Katrina?
I think 17. There were a few I couldn't go to because of school. Just interfered.
School? Pff, you're on TV. Screw school. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's right. We can't do that.
Who needs no stinking degree?
Exactly. I'm famous now.
Yeah, I believe 17.
So you've been in 17. Mm-hmm. Has there been, and I know you can't give away any episodes,
right?
But has there been a holy beep moment for you where you thought, geez, maybe this isn't the field for me?
No, there has never been a time where I've questioned whether or not I want to do this. It's funny because I was just talking to the girls about it today. I can't imagine my life without this. And, I've only been working with these people for a year, and I can't imagine my life without them. And it's the same thing. I can't imagine, walking away from this and knowing that there's people that need help and knowing that I've had the training to help them and not being able to do it. So there's never been something that's shook me so much where I would consider walking away from this.
All right. Well, before we put Heather on the phone, you can rat her out. Was there anything that scared the hell out of her that you had to hold her hand through?
I'll leave that for Heather.
Oh, come on.
It's a cliffhanger.
Oh, the cliffhanger. Good deal. Well, Katrina, we'd love to have you back on the show after a couple more episodes there, and we've watched you in your pillow fight webcam. And,
yes, I'm sure you have. On slow motion, too, haven't you?
Yes, excellent. My TiVo's burned out. I don't know what's wrong. No, I'm just kidding. You guys, they are very serious. And, we had the moment of little laughter at the event when we watched it, because it is funny. It's this deep, dark episode where just this stuff's going on, and all of a sudden it's like, meanwhile, we sent Heather and Katrina back to the room, and they're both kneeling in their bed with their little webcam on, going, okay, this is we all just started bow, bow, bow in the background. But it was very well done, because it is very tasteful in the fact that you moved them out of there, and you gave their perspective, which I thought was great, because, instead of just sending home the newbies and then wondering what the hell they're thinking, it was great to see them have a chance to, kind of verbalize where their thought process was at that point too, and removing them from a potentially dangerous situation. But Katrina,
Dave, I mean, I've had investigations in the past where I've brought relatively new people on board, and I've let them stay, and I've seen what it can do. And I'm by no means trying to scare people or give people their kicks in that sense. I've seen that some of the stuff, especially with what you might call demonic, when that stuff pops up, it can mess with people's heads and their lives. And it's not that, if anything so much as scary happens, I'm kicking Heather and Katrina out. I just felt that at that time, they weren't yet ready. I wanted to make sure that they matured a bit more.
Oh, no, that's great, yeah. Well, Katrina, you have a good one. We're looking forward to seeing you on the show tomorrow night.
Definitely.
And the episode we saw is the second episode airing tomorrow night, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you'll be on there. We'll look forward to seeing you on there. Thank you very much. Let me ask, while you're getting Heather on the line here, and then we'll wrap up with Elfie with you. Let me ask you, Ryan, when you're bringing these people in, and now you've had, unfortunately, a lot of dealings with more of the darker forces.
Mm-hmm.
What do you attribute that to? I mean, a lot of paranormal groups will go out and investigate for years, and they don't, maybe they cross one or two that they think, wow, this could be, dealing with the demonic side of things. What do you attribute your luck to?
It all started in some random day in January when I got an email and a call from a family and from the Catholic Church, and this priest told me, I received a sign from God. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do this case. And it all started from there, and when I did that case, and we really helped that family, and it was a very dramatic case. And I was told by the force, the demonic force, that it.
Good. I'm glad you cleared that up, because for a minute there I thought you were getting all Star Wars on me.
It said that it knew me now, and it wouldn't forget me, and that there'd be a time when it would come back after me. And I'll be honest, that worried the hell out of me. But the thing that I've learned over the years is that one of the biggest ploys of the demonic is they're dramatic. They have a very big flair for drama. And so I said, you know what? If it comes, it comes. I mean, I can't sit here hiding in my room, because one day it might pop out again.
I disagree, because Tim and I are sitting in our room hiding with garlic on the windowsill and water, holy water. And now I'm a little afraid to know you, because you've got demons looking for you, man.
Yeah, and Chip Coffey, whom is a regular psychic on the show, he almost annoys me to the point, I mean that lovingly, because he taps into some force, and every once in a while what he claims is a demon pops up and tries to warn me or scare me or say that it's about to attack me or my family, and I'm just like, and eventually I'm just like, you know what, whatever. I'm like, I get it, you're evil, ooh, scary,
No, Ryan, we're really evil.
And I'm just like, whatever. I'm just, I take it as it is now.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take our second break here. When we come back, why don't we'll wrap up. We'll talk to Elfie and Heather and Ryan. You're listening to Darkness on the Edge of Town. Our guest this evening, the cast of Paranormal State, airing tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Eastern Time on the A&E channel. We'll be back with more right after this.
Real? Does Bigfoot exist? Was Emily Rose really possessed? Who is the next American Idol?
She bangs! She bangs! Oh, baby, when she moves, she moves.
Thank you. Thank you.
We try to answer these questions and more each week on The Darkness on the Edge of Town.
If you read Taps Paramag every month, you'll be able to tell the difference between the absurd and the creepy. Taps Paramag takes you where few would ever go on purpose. From exclusive interviews with the cast of the ghost hunters, to the latest trends in technology in the field of the paranormal. To join our journey, order at tapsparaMag.com.
In the Amityville Horror, the ghost told them to get out the house. White people stayed in there. Now that's a hint and a half for your A ghost say get the out, I would just tip the out the door. They walked and looked in the toilet bowl, was blood in the toilet. I said, that's peculiar. I would have been in the house and said, oh baby, this is beautiful. We got a chandelier hanging up here, kids outside playing, it's a beautiful neighborhood. We ain't got nothing to worry. I really love them, this is really nice. Too bad we can't stay, baby.
We're the type of guys who would have stayed just for the extra company. Welcome back to the darkness on the edge of town.
Hey, welcome back to the show. You're listening to Darkness on the Edge of Town Paranormal Radio. Our guests this evening are the team and cast of the brand new show on A&E that starts tomorrow night, Monday, December 10th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. There'll be 2 back-to-back episodes you can watch. This is definitely an interesting show. You're going to want to check it out. It's called Paranormal State. The main cast of the state are the paranormal investigators of Penn State Paranormal Research Society, and it is an amazing group that we've had the chance and good fortune to work with over the last 2-3 years here. Great bunch of kids. I'm now 40, and I'm allowed to call them that, Tim. It's a great bunch of kids out there at Penn State.
Someday I'm going to hire them to mow my lawn.
That's right. So listen, Ryan. Oh, bastards. So now, do we have Heather on the line?
Yes, you do.
How are you, Heather?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. You know, we asked Katrina. I want to throw this at you. And in the episode that we were able to air, saw at UNIVCon.
Yes.
At one point, you get removed from the investigation because things start to get a little hairy. With a possible demonic. What was your thought? What's going through your head when they tell you, listen, this is getting to a point where we just don't want you here right now?
Well, I knew that when Ryan sent us home, it was for, our own good in case it did get really bad. And me and Katrina weren't really through our training yet. We were still trainees. So, I don't know.
I've got to ask now, you both have mentioned that you weren't through your training. How exactly does one train to deal with the forces of the devil? Does Ryan dress up like Satan and make you go through a paddle machine, or does he throw
role-playing in my room?
Throw a little goat's blood on you and scream at you in foreign languages? I mean, what exactly do you do to go through training to deal with malevolent evil forces?
Well, we really we took a class and we learned about what the demonic is, how it works, what to do, what not to do, and just reading books, reading other people's stories and stuff like that.
I should jump in too, Dave, and just say, I don't train people to deal with the demonic forces. I train people to recognize possible signs of demonic activity, and if they're not properly trained, how to step out and bring reinforcements in. And PRS does have a small team of investigators who have I wouldn't say training because we're not demonologists, but have a little bit of training and understanding of it that will come in and will bring in specialists.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. Now, Heather, have you, how many of the episodes have you been able to take part in?
I have been on 17 of them. 2 of them I had to miss I missed them because of school. I couldn't, there's no way I could have missed a week of school. And then the one I declined to go on because it was a demonic case.
Oh, okay. Now, did you know it was demonic going in?
Yes.
Or did Ryan come back from the initial interview with blood splatters on his shirt and 2 6s burned on his forehead, and he didn't want to go back for the third? How did you know it was demonic going in?
Well, at our briefing, which is when we discussed the case, Ryan actually said it was possible that it could be a demonic case.
Well, Dave, the episode that you saw, I guess in TV purposes, is considered a 2-parter because that name that was mentioned was associated with next week's case.
Okay.
So that's why, there was some apprehension, and that's why I knew about the name, because in the next investigation involved that name and that force. And that's why it was so weird how Chip, who just came in, and I literally just met him, all this stuff kind of came together. So after that name episode, which you saw at UNIVCon, came about, we had a briefing for the next case, and Heather declined, right?
Yeah.
So you knew that this was going to be the follow part up to it, and good idea not to be a part of that, huh?
Yeah.
Now, Heather, with all the stuff that you've seen in your own personal life and dealt with now with the show, has there been anything where it's made you kind of stand back and question if you want to continue in this field?
No, definitely not, because I really enjoy it, and the fact that we're helping people, I just, I want to help people and learn more about the paranormal, so I really enjoy it. There's only just the demonic case when we knew. I was just like, something in my head was telling me not to go, and I still wasn't, through training yet, so I felt like I still had to learn more.
Well, use that same voice when you go out and meet guys at the bar. Okay, if you get that sense, run like hell. Go ahead, Ryan. You were about to say.
I was going to say, Heather's such a happy-go-lucky person.
Uh-huh.
Like she's always smiling. So it was really weird and slightly sad, when she said, and that's why I knew she was serious, because during that one part, the second part of it, she was like, I don't feel comfortable going, and that's why I think, I kind of, where Heather and I kind of built that respect. She kind of earned my respect because, I thought, okay, I don't know these girls too much yet. Is she just thinking, oh, this is fun, demons, ghosts? But when it came to that, she was very serious. And
I totally watched Scooby-Doo, and that was awesome. Can I be a part of the team?
Yeah.
Now, do you? Well, Heather, we want to wish you a lot of luck with the show, and like I said to Katrina, we'd like to have you back on after some of the episodes have aired to kind of talk to you about the specific things that you guys were involved in.
Oh, definitely.
All right, and you have a great one. Now, let me ask you, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
The ladies on your team are not too hard to look at. Were you forced to, and be honest here with us? I mean, were you forced to maybe go with some more of the camera-friendly people for your show, or did you go with people that you felt you had more trust in that would have your back in this kind of thing?
I don't let the producers or production or anyone tell me what I have to do. I've definitely given producers some gray hairs because they're like, we need to do this, and they've never, for one, ever asked me to fake anything. But when it came to choosing my investigators, I said, this is the team. And, for example, Elfie isn't a Penn State student, and there were a lot of issues with that, and they knew that I was not going to, move forward without Elfie. So, yeah, when it came to Heather and Katrina, I mean, we had a lot of people pass through. Some, great-looking gals, some great-looking guys. But what it all came down to was, their personality and their devotion to it. And we brought on other trainees, actually, to go through training, but they all dropped out. Surprisingly enough, Heather and Katrina were the only, and one other person who comes on later, they were the only people who stuck through it all.
Now, did you feel, by having this, did you have any concerns being, the leader of this group? You're a good-looking guy. Sergi's a good-looking guy, and all of a sudden you've got the, Paranormal Charlie's Angels joining you. Yeah, exactly. Were you worried that might discount or detract from the legitimacy of the show when it aired?
No. I've had moments in the past where I've had something with possibly, where I've kind of flirted around with another, I guess, investigator, if you will, and it always ended badly. So I kind of maintained that boundary, and Katrina and Heather, are definitely beautiful, beautiful ladies, and not to sound all mushy, but they're kind of like my sisters. I feel protective of them and everything.
Well, I didn't mean so much for dating, but I mean, did you have a concern that people would look at this and say, "Oh, it's just the real world meets paranormal"?
Oh yeah, no, I totally hear you. Well, even at UNIFCON, didn't someone yell out, was this cast assembled or is this a real team? Because you guys look a little too good for TV. No, I mean it's. We're a real team.
I do got to tell you, after watching the one episode, though, you guys have to stop with the dramatic lighting behind you and the fans blowing your hair and you making the kissy faces at the camera. I think it's a demon, Serge.
Blue steel.
That's right, the blue steel. Well, now, do we have Elfie there? Is she with us?
Madam Elfie is on the line.
Hey, Elfie, how are you?
Doing good. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you here. Now, we've, as I was saying, you've got the paranormal trio of femme fatales on the show, Ryan, and Elfie, you've been with the team for quite a while. I know that I met you 3 years ago at that UNIFCON and have been interested in went to your first occult program. Now, can I ask you, getting into the paranormal, how often do you find that your occult background, and I don't mean you were part of an occult, but I mean that you study the occult, how often do you find that that's important when you're doing these investigations?
Well, not very much episodes-wise, but before the show, we've had cases where there was the possibility of the occult, but it always turns out to be rumors. It really ends up being like the neighbors seeing something like, oh my God, they're practicing some witchcraft. And it's like, no, not really.
Although one case, though, Alfie, you did pretty well in. It was one of the demonic cases where we found some stones, like what was it, the blood red stone, the amber, and some other things that she looks like she's drawing a blank. But there have definitely been times when she's identified things that suggested possible occult activity. Very minor things.
Yeah, it's usually with those things, it's like they don't exactly put them out on display.
Right.
It's very common stuff, though.
Now, Alfie, just as humans, I mean, let's face it, we're lowly idiot humans on this planet. There's demons, there's angels, there's gods, there's deities, all these things around us, and do we really have the power to conjure and ask demons and evil things into our world? Can't they just manifest themselves? Do they really need a door opened by a dumbass human?
Not always, really. They can be that's like dumbass humans can let these things in without even knowing it. I mean, you can do something that someone will pop in and didn't even know you did it. So, but not really like deities. I don't think they need anyone to open a door for them. They'll make their own.
What do you recommend for people that are getting involved in the paranormal? A lot of people want to do things like scrying or automatic writing, using the pendulums, using Ouija boards, things like that. Is there anything that you'd say, hey guys, this is just not a good idea unless you really know what the hell you're doing? Is there anything in specific that you would just tell people to stay away from?
Stay away. Well, with like scrying and automatic writing and everything, I would definitely tell them to do their research before they pull out the pendulum and the paper and start doing this stuff, because like you got a 50-50 chance of either nothing happening or something happening. So I would definitely tell them just to do their research before they jump feet first into it.
All right. Well, that's a good plan. And Alfie, we look forward to seeing you on the show.
Thank you.
And it's going to be exciting. Again, it's cool to watch your friends succeed, and I'm glad to see that you made it on. You're going to be a part of the show. And just remember your old friends at Darkness Radio when you're rich and famous, okay, Alfie?
Of course.
Good old Dan Schaefer and Tom, whatever his name is, right? Well, Ryan, we got about a minute and a half left. What else can you share with us about the show? What else do you want to let people know that's going to set Paranormal State apart from the rest of the shows out in the industry right now?
Well, for those, who are looking for evidence, analysis, and things like that, that's not what the show's about. There are episodes that are more evidence or tech heavy than there are other ones that are very minimal, slight on that. Really, we're trying to help people. We take this from a clinical approach. Mm-hmm. When you look at the show, if you want to have, you want to learn something and take something out of it, how about dealing with people and these aspects about it all, and the cultural and religious aspects of helping people? Just getting evidence. How does that help somebody? What do you do afterwards? And that's kind of what we do. Whether it's paranormal or not, there are people who are haunted, they have questions, and they want help. And that's what our show is about.
And that's one thing that Tim and I have always talked about on the show with all the paranormal shows that have come out in the marketplace. So many people are, I think, they're missing the point of it should be about helping people that are having real problems.
Yep.
And your curiosity should be second.
Exactly. That is exactly what's kind of how it developed with the show, and I'm very proud of it.
Well, good. And congratulations again, Ryan. It couldn't happen to a bunch of nicer kids, and we wish you a lot of luck. We're going to be watching along with the rest of the nation tomorrow. And again, we'll hope to have you on here in the future and talk about some of the follow-up shows and see what else we can deal with. And again, people can check that out 10 o'clock Eastern Time on the A&E channel. And for more information, you can always go to PennStatePRS.com for the, I believe it's .com or .org, right?
.com. Yep.
.com. So it's
or ParanormalState.com, too.
Or ParanormalState.com to get all the information. You can also check it out at A&E. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure to stay tuned for the second hour. We've got kind of a controversial topic. We're going to be talking about an ITC form of communicating with the dead. It's popularly known as Frank's Box. We're going to have Bill Murphy on the line, who's friends with Frank Sumption, the creator, and he's going to talk to us about the different versions that are out on the marketplace, the drama that's going on in the marketplace about this, and we're going to try to get to the bottom of it. So stay tuned. We'll be back with more and all of your questions right after this.